Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, seen Wednesdays on the Sports Collectors Daily Facebook page and the Great American Collectibles Facebook page. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by the National Sports Collectors Convention and Sports Collectors Daily. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now your hosts, Tom Zappala and Boston sports personality, John Mallory.
JM, man.
How you doing, buddy?
When was the last time we were together?
It's been like a month.
Right?
It was before the National.
Right, because we did the 2 shows at the National.
That's right.
And then I did the show before that is the show that we're doing next week that we pre-recorded.
You pre-taped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a while since I've seen you.
Good to see you, bro. You look good.
You look good.
Do I?
No.
You know.
You're losing too much weight.
For a fat guy, you don't sweat much.
Can you see this? Say goodbye.
I know. You got something going on.
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
This guy and I have been together.
So you're going in Wednesday. You're going in when people are watching.
Today is Wednesday.
I know,
going in
but
tomorrow.
what I'm saying is people are watching.
No, I'm going in tomorrow. Thursday.
Oh, so you're going in tomorrow.
Right.
Right. All right.
So first of all, let's bring
when
JP
he said
in.
tomorrow, I thought he meant tomorrow.
Let's bring in the Phantom, JP Cohen. No,
anyway, good luck.
Well, I want to talk to JP.
Are you
about
scared?
This. Me?
You're scared.
Me?
You're a little nervous.
Shitless.
You should be. You never know.
I am. No, I'm not. I'm fine.
No, you're going to be. You've had the other one. You had the other one done.
And the technology has dramatically changed.
I know. They say the left is it's a tough one though.
JP, first of all, welcome. JP Cohen, I call him the Phantom. He is the only of our sponsors. Trying to get him on the air with us is like trying to get whoever.
How long have I been doing the show? 5 years?
Right.
I never met him.
Right. I mean, Woken, Dan.
Never met him.
Dan is a regular.
Yeah.
Orlando's a regular.
Yeah.
Brian Drent. Brian Dwyer.
All those guys, yeah.
Mike Hefner. This
Never
guy,
met him.
he's like the
He's
Phantom.
the most important guy in the building. I never met him.
Can't get a hold of him.
You wouldn't know I existed unless I was here today, right?
You know
Exactly.
what? It's also that proves he's also smart.
Right. So, JP, I know you have a lot of clout with PSA. So I'm thinking,
That's why I haven't come on the show. I'm trying to keep my clout. You know?
I want to have my old knee slapped.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What would your old knee maybe be worth in an auction?
Let's ask him.
That's priceless. That would be like front. That would be like a front cover.
I would sign it. I'd sign it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You might even just stop at lot 1.
Right. That's it. That's it.
Like that.
Listen, I am so psyched that you're here because really we love when we can get you on, man. You're one of the guys in the hobby that really, really understands and knows what the hobby is all about.
Mm-hmm.
All about. And I know you got a big auction starting on the 17th, right?
It's in a few days. Yeah.
And it ends in September. I have a piece in there, by the way.
You do?
I have a little piece, just a little piece. It was a little piece that I picked up in Florida at some sale.
Yeah.
I paid like unbelievably cheap money for it. You know what it is, JP? It's a DeLong Garrick, right? Yeah. But it's graded like a 1.5. I'm not even going to tell you what I paid for that, but I paid next to nothing for that guy. So holy Jesus! And I sent it off to Joe at the time, and it's going to the auction.
Good.
Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Your auction ends on the 7th. You want to talk about the auction first? Some of the highlights.
You guys want? Yeah. I mean, we have
Sure.
we have some amazing stuff. Obviously, we do have a DeLong Garrick, 1.5. But no, we have 1,700 great lots and a good variety this time from some game used to photos to lots of Babe Ruth autograph, unique pieces, and some really pre-war rare cards that hardly come to auction. We're doing a Garrick rookie, which in high grade.
I see that. That's the exhibit card, right?
It's an exhibit card, and high grade for a Garrick rookie is
awesome. Awesome.
Three or higher. So we have a 3.5. So real happy about the variety in this sale.
You also have an M116 Wagner. It seems as though that M116 and the E90-2 are still holding some pretty good ground on the values.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Wagner in the last year is kind of, if someone was trying to see what, say what is hot as a player on cards, it would be Wagner. I mean, of course, the Honus Wagner is always hot.
Yeah.
Always but some of the other Wagner issues have really grown tremendously in value.
Are you kidding?
And popularity. So.
Thanks to you guys, back last year, my E90-2, I was able to put a tuition payment down for my grandson, and I appreciate that.
It's fun when I hear that kind of stuff. We did a mantle auction about for one guy's collection. He had like every mantle in 8s and 9s, and it was phenomenal when you get a collection like that to put in your catalog. But this is about a year ago, and his expectations were strong. But as you guys know, these last few years, the market is completely blown up on just about everything.
Right.
Especially a main player like Mantle. And we did so well for this guy. Fast forward, he was so happy the auction was over. Obviously got his money, and 6 months later, he sends me this picture, and it's a boat. And I'm not trying to say it was some giant, $100 million yacht.
No, but it was a boat.
Really nice boat in Florida, and it's a picture on the back. It says Memory Lane.
No way.
So I said, that's pretty cool. Where did you see that? Thinking, maybe he's cruising through like, some club or something that he saw it and he wanted to share with me. He goes, it's my boat. I named it after you.
That's classic, man. That's great. Actually, something, that is a good story. Because that's what you like to hear from your customers.
Love hearing
Listen,
that.
you guys, we always talk about, there are auction houses, and then there are auction houses. And, the same auction houses that are at the top, right? It's always the same. You got Memory Lane, you got Heritage, you got Leland's, and then you got Ken Golden. I mean, he is up there. I mean, Ken's a little different, but, he's up there. You also have a Pop 1 Old Judge Ewing. I took a look at that. That's a beautiful card.
Yeah, the consignor called us with that. He's had it for a while, and couldn't be more happy about getting that in this sale. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that brings, because you rarely see that come to market.
JP, you have some great what I'll call non-cards memorabilia, whether it's contracts, tickets, items like that. Can you talk about some of that stuff that you have in this auction coming up, because it's really, really interesting stuff.
So we have a special tab. It's an highlight autograph tab in our sale. Actually, I have the book on my desk here. So, and in there is just some of the best of the best. Like we have a Jackie Robinson yearbook, his college yearbook. He signed 4 times in the book. I mean, where would you ever get something like that so special and unique? And there's lots of Ruth stuff, some Ruth checks. And that's the autograph section. And then we have, a Babe Ruth game used bat that is rated an 8.5.
God.
Mark Koenig, a fellow teammate of Ruth, was gifted that from Ruth, and it's been in his family all the way to the 90s from when our consignor was able to obtain it. So a lot of unique, great stuff. I always think that, when it comes to memorabilia, stories sell, and those are some of the greatest things that appreciate and do real well. And in this auction, we have lots of stories. So, definitely focus when you're looking at our catalog or looking at online, focusing on some of the great stuff that have really background stories to them.
JP, you have an item in there. It's got a signature of Ruth Wagner, Walter Johnson, Cobb, and Nap Lajoie.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that a little bit? I mean, talk about the names and the autographs on that one single item.
That's another one of these things that's a great kind of story. Someone went out with I'm gathering it was some type of autograph book, and it's kind of just a small piece of that book, the page.
Yeah,
And pick the right guys to sign the page.
Can you imagine having those guys?
It's just like a piece of paper. Exactly. I didn't know what to call it when I was asking him the question. It's because unbelievable that I have all those guys on that one page signed. Yeah.
So back, in the early 1900s, even through the 30s and 40s, a lot of people ran around with these books, these autograph books, and you see them in auctions from time to time, and there'll be pages of them, and each page, one might have Babe Ruth on it, and then Joe Bag of Donuts on it, and then you can go through 50 of these pages of this one book and have different autographs. But to have this page, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it probably came from one of those type of books,
right?
To have these guys all on that page,
that's pretty cool.
It's crazy,
pretty cool.
Yeah, so
JP, I know you're a memorabilia guy, and I know you have an extensive collection. May I ask, and you don't have to share that with us if you don't want, what is your one favorite piece that you own? Now, in the past, I've handled some of your product. I don't even know if you remember. And I was like, when we wrote the T206 book 16 years ago, I don't know if you remember this, you shipped to my house 4 items that it was like, I'm in my living room, and Ellen's taking a picture of me with a Cobb bat. And anyway, so know what I did? I took all that stuff, took it down to my family business, and we threw it in the vault until we did the photo shoot.
Right.
But what is your favorite JP piece? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I have a few, so I want to make sure I put that disclosure out there, because if I pick one, I don't want to act like the other ones aren't important either. But listen, any of our customers come to California to our office, we like to display our stuff here, or at the very least pull it out to we have vaults here and share some of these unique pieces, because a lot of times this stuff for a lot of collectors gets put into bank vaults or storage, and no one ever gets to enjoy it or share it with people. So,
I know you're a big Ruth guy. That I know.
Yeah. So speaking of Ruth, I have a couple pieces. If you want me to limit it to one, I have a piece that is an actual photo. It's more like we'll call it 11 by 14 type photo, and it's of Ruth and Gehrig from 1932, and it's Ruth whispering in Gehrig's ear, and it's a really cool piece. They're on the field, and Ruth's whispering in Gehrig's ear.
Wow.
And Ruth signed it, Babe Ruth, 1932 World Series, by his leg. And then above, if you can just visualize this, above Gehrig's right ear, Gehrig writes, "In one ear and out the other."
That's classic. That's classic.
That's a fun piece. Now, back to what I was saying earlier with you guys, I said stories. I collect stories, and I do like Babe Ruth, and I like a lot of the old time Hall of Famers. But I don't collect. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I don't collect, index cards with just someone's autograph.
Right, and I agree with that. I
want to be able to talk about it. I want to say this came from this one, or this was a cool story. I have a lot of stuff that came from the Babe Ruth estate or Lou Gehrig's estate. I have Lou Gehrig's when he was 15 years old. It's probably the earliest known autograph. His personal middle school autograph book, kind of what I was just explaining to you about these books that people ran around with. This was his personal book that he got his little friends in middle school to sign, "Dear Henry, wish you all the best of luck in high school, or whatever. Billy,
That's cool stuff, man.
This book is his book, and why do I have his autograph in his book? Well, because the inside cover he wrote, "This belongs to Henry Gehrig and his home address." So that's his autograph.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stories is what I always recommend people. If you can put a story to something, that's what makes things special, unique, and attractive to the collecting world.
Yeah. Picking up on that a little bit, you have this upcoming auction. Was there a lot of different consigners, a lot of different clients you're working with? Was there one person that gave you a lot of the stuff? And the second part of that, any good stories in that way? Found them in the attic, cleaning a granddad's basement out and found this that you can share with us.
So, the answer to your question is this auction is a variety of a lot of collectors, customers, clients.
Yep.
Every once in a while, you'll have someone that's not in the hobby, but they have something from a relative or family member that was handed down to them, and they just need to find an outlet to help them maximize their return. So they contact us. And in the case of this auction, a couple days before our consignment deadline, a gentleman walks into our corporate office here in California with a stack of about 70 turkey red cards, raw. And we're like, wow. Where did you get these? And he said that his uncle passed away and that his uncle was from the East Coast. And when they went to clean out his house, it was a sudden passing. The house was pretty messy, and underneath, if you can just visualize a laundry basket, under the laundry, in the laundry basket was the stack of T3s.
Underneath the clothes in the basket.
Yeah. And so we were like, wow. So obviously we were fortunate to get the consignment. We ran to PSA and they graded them. And majority of them, we have a whole section for T3s, are in this auction.
Any of the heavyweights? Cobb?
We had Cobb.
No kidding.
And it didn't have the advertising back. It's a very rare version of the T3 Cobb.
Yeah.
So that graded a 4. And T3s are, if you can get T3s and 4s and 5s, that's like getting 52 tops in
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have a nice variety of that. The Babe Ruth bat I was referring to.
Yeah.
That's pretty special because of the background story with Mark Koenig's family owning it, and being that it's a late 20s game used Ruth bat, it's pretty special. And there's also other stuff, unique T206 rare backs that hardly come to sale. So we have a really amazing variety of items. So I definitely encourage people to at least look. And if anyone has any questions or wants any background information, we're here to answer that for you.
We are chatting with JP Cohen, the owner, president, chief bottle washer of Memory Lane Auctions.
The owner of the company. I just met him now.
I know. That's crazy. Where the hell have you been?
Where have you? What is up with you?
It's not my problem. Listen.
You give Rico all the good guests.
We got a few minutes. I want to share this with you. We were talking about GP. What is it called? GPT. What is it called?
Chat GPT.
Whatever the hell it's called. AI.
Yeah.
So this was sent to me by my new friend Danny the Bot.
Oh God.
So Danny says here, I think you'll appreciate this. So this is a detailed summary. Now, in my opinion, the two greatest baseball teams of all time, the 1927 Yankees and arguably the 1961 Yankees. I mean, right up there, both.
And there's others, but yeah.
Okay, but those are my two favorites.
Sure. So
here's a detailed summary of the hypothetical game, real detailed, but I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. Between the 27 Yankees, Murderers Row, and the 61 Yankees. Starting lineup for the 27, Earl Coombs, Mark Koenig, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Bob Musial, Tony Lazzeri, Pat Collins, Joe Dugan, Wade Hoyt pitching. And
5 or 6 Hall of Famers.
Yeah,
in it, right?
and Miller Huggins is the manager.
Yep.
61 Yankees, Ralph Houck, Bobby Richardson, Tony Kubek, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Elston Howard, Yogi Berra, Bill Skowron, Clete Boyer, and Whitey Ford. Now, what they do is this AI, they take all of the data and they put it in and they spit it out. You ready? First inning. This is real Cliff Notes. 27 Yankees jumped out to an early lead with Earl Coombs doubling to start the game, followed by a single from Mark Koenig. Babe Ruth then blasted a towering 3-run homer to right field off of Whitey Ford, putting the 27 Yankees up 3-0. Lou Gehrig followed with a solo shot of his own, making it 4-0 before Ford settled down to get out of the inning. Now we're going to jump to the third inning. The 61 Yankees responded in the bottom of the third. After Bobby Richardson singled and Tony Kubek walked, Roger Maris drove a fastball from Wade Hoyt deep into the right field stands, cutting the lead to 4-3. Mickey Mantle then doubled and scored on a single by Elston Howard, tying the game at 4-4. Let's jump to the fifth.
You know, it would have been fun if you would let us put money on this before you got
There
to
you
the
go.
M.
Well, it's still 4-4, so it's not over yet.
We could do it. It's tied now.
Right. All right, now we're gonna jump to the fifth. The 27 Yankees reclaimed the lead in the top of the fifth when Tony Lazzeri hit a 2-run homer off after Bob Musial singled, putting the 27 squad back up 6-4.
All right.
Let's jump to the sixth. 61 Yankees answered immediately with 2 outs. Maris hit his second home run of the game, this time a solo shot to center field, bringing the score to 6-5. Mickey Mantle followed with a walk and scored on a double by Elston Howard, tying the game once more 6-6.
6-6.
Seventh inning. In the top of the seventh, Babe Ruth came through again, hitting his second home run of the game off of a tired Whitey Ford, a solo shot that gave the 27 Yankees a 7-6 lead. Lou Gehrig then walked and eventually scored on a sacrifice fly from Tony Lazzeri, extending the lead to 8-6. Ninth inning. The 1961 Yankees made it interesting in the bottom of the ninth. After Clete Boyer doubled to lead the inning, Bobby Richardson drove him in with a single, narrowing the lead to 8-7. With 2 outs and a runner on third, Wade Hoyt was replaced by closer Wilcie Moore. Roger Maris came to the plate, but Moore got to him to fly out to deep center, ending the game.
8-7.
Player of the game, Babe Ruth, for his 2 home runs, and here are the notable performances. Babe Ruth, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs and 4 ribbies. Lou Gehrig, 1 for 3 with a home run and 2 ribbies. Roger Maris, 2 for 5 with 4 ribbies. And Elston Howard, 3 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs.
Yeah.
It was a thrilling game of power.
Mickey Mantle didn't get a hit.
Yeah, he did. He got 1.
Okay.
That's gold, man. You got to say that is gold. How they can take all of those statistics and spit it out in 20 seconds, man. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's going to be.
So you've become one of these analytics guys now. You've gone to the other side. You're
Tommy the bot.
You're all analytics. You don't take into account
Forget it.
rain.
Ellen calls me Tommy.
Guys banged up,
Tommy the
injury,
bot.
out drinking the night before, which a lot of those guys were.
No.
You're an analytics guy.
That's right.
You're an influencer. You've become an influencer.
We're going to talk about influencers later. That we're going to talk about. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a Gax blast from the past. And guess what? It's part of this family right here.
Okay.
Part of the family.
All right.
Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Love it.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insurance.
With record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back.
Good medication talk during the break.
Earth to JP. Earth to JP.
He's a busy guy. He's got stuff going on.
He's
man.
looking out the window. Don't
He's
give me
got
that
stuff
crap.
going on. It could be another guy that found something in a laundry basket.
There's a goddamn palm tree I can see.
A laundry
I
basket.
was looking out the window. Some people walking by. I was just curious.
You know how many old people's houses I've cleaned out, found nothing? Squat. Jack squat. This dude's finding in a laundry basket.
See, now my grandfather, being an old Sicilian, real old Sicilian.
Like you are now.
Well, when he passed, we went into his house, into his attic. And you know what the one thing that he kept that we found? A stuffed pheasant.
That's the kind of crap I find.
A stuffed freaking pheasant.
I found
that he had probably killed.
I mean, I found interesting
60
stuff
years
like
prior
little
to that.
guns and stuff like that, but I never found something like that.
Did you see the recent? There was like a recent story of a lady that was having some construction done in her house.
Yeah, that was it. That was local here.
Yeah, found some cards like in the wall. Or something.
Yeah, it was. It was
Ted Williams.
One of them
right?
was a Ted Williams.
Williams rookie.
All right, listen. It is time right now for our Gax Blast from the Past, and this week, coincidentally, by the way, we are featuring a gentleman that happens to know this gentleman because they work together. And I don't know if they're partners, but he's got a little piece of the action. This is a scene. Our good friend Danny Wilkins.
Danny, love Dan.
Dan has been on with us 1,000 times.
Great.
And people, we get emails. He is so insightful, but he also has a personality.
Perhaps the only voice that rivals Prov, too.
Yeah, him and Provenzo.
The two of them. Best voices in the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is a little scene from Danny, as everybody knows, not everybody knows, but Dan was pretty much a regular on Pawn Stars for several years.
Sure.
So this is Dan Wilkin, a scene from Dan on Pawn Stars.
I have a Cy Young autograph right here, and it's authenticated, which is great, but I don't know, the value of something like this. I mean, it's Cy Young.
Sure.
I imagine everything's collectible.
No, absolutely. No, he's a legend. To this day, he still holds the most games played, started, innings. He's pitched over 7,500 innings. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1937, one of the first Baseball Hall of Fame inductees. So he really set a lot of records and things that pitchers can't touch these days.
He was
so
80.
Can I take a look at it?
Please.
I mean, the autograph looks really clean compared to autographs that are out there. You can perfectly see the signature. It is a real old photo of him, so this image was probably in the newspaper because it seems to be matted, on top of this board.
Huh.
So as far as the picture is concerned, the Indians uniform, he played for the Cleveland Spiders, he played for the Cleveland Naps. So it's probably going back to Cleveland for an old timers game. The only thing is that items are more desirable when they have like a more present or playing day photo. And as far as the signature, it's definitely a signature he signed after his career. The value is a lot higher when it's signed during his career.
What kind of value do you think it has?
You know, just a piece of paper signed by him, not a photo. You know, you're probably looking at about $1,000 just for a piece of paper. For this, there aren't tons of photos out there of him. So with that being said, I'd give a retail value of $2,500.
Okay. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Not quite what you were asking for.
Not quite what I'm looking for, but pretty close.
I'm going to have to offer you less if you're interested in selling it because, you know, I'll be looking to get that 2,500 mark out of it.
Okay. You know, Danny does a good job.
Oh,
I know you couldn't see that, JP, but you could hear it.
Oh, he's good.
He
Danny's
did a
a
really
natural,
nice job
man.
in that show.
Danny's a natural.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was good.
Yeah, I've seen them all. I mean, he definitely is always, a hit on that show. I'm sure
he did a great job.
I didn't know that he got married. You know, you guys.
Well, I was going to say
you guys
that.
were talking about that before the show.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Shout
congrats,
out
Danny.
to Dan.
I didn't even know.
As we speak, Danny, he's on his honeymoon, right?
No, I think they're planning that down the road. I think right now he's just kind of unwinding today.
He's thinking about going to Ukraine.
Jesus God. Jeez, come on.
No, congratulations to Danny. Great guy. What?
Maybe you'll find some cards under a pith helmet or something.
All right, listen, JP, I've spoken to you. I've spoken to you about this before, and to me, at the National, it stuck out like a sore thumb. And this industry, as we all know, is changing dramatically. But this whole influencer thing that's in our hobby is really, to me, becoming a little unsettling. Because I took the time, and I'm not kidding, John, at the National, there were influencers all over the floor, as you know. And I took the time to
recording videos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
how could you tell?
Recording,
recording
with cameras on them, talking to people.
Yeah.
And I would say a third of them that had no idea what the hell they were talking about. A third of them. And the other thing was that 95% of them, it was strictly modern and ultra-modern discussions that they were having with customers. Is it me, or is it getting out of hand, JP?
You know, I don't know. You know, I don't really know if I have the right answer. And the industry, the hobby seems to be evolving in a new direction. Not every aspect of our hobby, but this influencers and these breakers, and things are changing. Every year we come to the National, it's always a good place to kind of get a gauge on where things are heading, what's hot, what's not. Of course, memory lane and a lot of the companies that you mentioned earlier are in the more of a vintage space,
right?
And that always seems to stay strong. We've have our niche in our area of the hobby, and it's always very popular. It's, so I still think that area is holding its own and growing as it, has for at least the last 25 years I've been doing this with Memory Lane. But that modern market, or the influencers and the new audience to the space is attracted to that. It's getting legs. It's growing in its own way. It's almost like we have two different areas, or two different.
It almost seems like two different hobbies. And listen, the National does a spectacular job of bringing in every conceivable combination of whatever in this hobby.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm not so sure of is that I watch these influencers, not shilling, but pushing cards. Hey, this is a one of one Prism with a purple underwear, Juan Soto, PSA 10. You need to buy it. Some of these guys, you think some of these guys are on the payrolls of some of the card manufacturers to promote this stuff?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I would assume that these manufacturers do need support to promote their product or their brand. I really believe they believe it. When I watch them,
I think he's right.
Spiel or pitch, I think they really believe it, and the people that they're talking to also, drink the Kool-Aid, so to say. I mean, I'm kind of an old school collector. I'm into the old stuff, and when I look at that shiny new stuff, I've watched it all go up and down, and sometimes crash and burn, and very few of that more modern created stuff holds its value. And I'm rooting for a strong market. I don't think I'd like to see people get into we'll call it the collecting spaces overall and have a bad experience. That's the concern I have with what they're doing, is because once they convince the new collector or the younger generation collector to come into this space and spend their money and enjoy it, once they start losing money, because a lot of stuff's very valuable, very expensive. And if they spend, let's call it 10 grand, which is a lot of money, and all of a sudden now it's worth $500 because the player did something or whatever, they're going to take their ball and go play somewhere else.
Exactly.
I think it's a double-edged sword, because we're talking, influencers aren't coming after you, me, or JP. JP's younger than both of us, but they're not coming. We're not the demo that influencers are coming after. And like you guys both said, most of them they're peddling modern stuff. There's not an influencer out there telling you to get a Babe Ruth card.
And when we were broadcasting, from the stage, I had the heavyweights up there with us.
Yeah.
The second hour, I had Mike Hefner, I had Joe Orlando,
right.
I had Brian Dwyer, and I can't remember who the other one. No, that was it. No, Drent was on the first hour.
Okay.
All right. And we were talking there was packed, and we were talking to kids, and we were trying to convey the message. Listen, what you're doing is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But don't flip cards for the sake of flipping cards and having no interest in the player behind the card. And look at the vintage market. Learn the vintage market, because if you're going to collect cards, have a balanced portfolio.
Yeah.
Now, the night we stayed, Rico and I were just flabbergasted. We stayed at the Hilton, and in the lobby, the first night, we're having dinner in a little restaurant because we had just gotten in. There must have been 300 kids between the ages of 14 and 30 with briefcases. Trading and buying and selling and all that stuff. One kid walked by and says, "Hey, what do you got there for cards?" You know what he said? Nothing. I have money in here.
Yeah.
I have money. But it seemed as though I was watching kids flip and doing all that stuff, and they were really only focused on the business part of it.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Not the love of the hobby.
No, that's it. And here's the thing, and JP, please come in on this, because I think there's a double-edged sword to it, because as much as maybe you don't like what they're doing, it does bring attention to the hobby. It does bring people into the hobby. What they do with their money, if they're investing in a card of a modern player, then he gets in trouble next week. And like JP said, you're going to learn from that. But JP, as someone who owns one of the biggest and most renowned businesses in the hobby, just talk generally about the impact of social media and the onset of social media, especially over the last few years. What impact has that had on the business?
Well, it has a huge reach. I mean, it brings in a lot of people. You got, if you go back the last 4 years, let's call it during COVID until present day, the market has exploded. It exploded. You could do no wrong. If you're one of these younger collectors that are new to the space or getting involved in buying the more modern stuff, you could buy it and just throw a dart at anything and still do okay and not lose money. And that's been what's the driving force to the excitement for, I believe, when I watch what's going on here, is that the business side, like you said, the business side is fun. It's fun. It's kind of like, in a way, there's a gambling aspect to this.
There is, yeah.
Where it's just like when you go to Vegas, you win for that first time. It's fun, and
it's
however,
a rush. Right? It's a rush.
And we live in a gambling society
I
now,
do
right?
that. I mean, JP, I do that with vintage stuff.
But it's infiltrated all of it, right? Fantasy sports is this form of gambling. Hell, most TV shows are sponsored by DraftKings or places like that. Go ahead, JP. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. And I think, let me just try to hit this one home here. I think what you have here is with this younger generation, or the modern collectible, and I call the modern collectible anything, let's call it from the 80s to present day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That demographic of who collects that stuff, at least based on what I see, are more interested in the business side, meaning everything is for sale.
Yeah,
everything is, there's no emotional attachment, or the collector side where, I want to own this because it's so important to me and I connect with, Michael Jordan or Mike Trout or whoever it may be.
Yes.
But is that a good thing?
It is, as long as there's enough people in the space to transact and do that, and the concern I have is that modern stuff is so mass produced. It's being produced by the second, that the inventory somewhat doesn't dry up. Yes, there's these one-of-ones and these created products, but then there's another set coming out the next week or whatever, the next month. So my concern is that there's so much out there. And then you have the aspect, what you have to take in consideration is, what if these players do something wrong? What if they get hurt? What if they get traded to another team? What happens to that item? So you have a lot of moving parts or issues to the collecting space of that, collectible, where, it could go up, it could go down. The interest could fade away. And whereas if you look at the vintage, the pre-80 stuff, that if you really pull the collector that collects that stuff, the majority of those people, we all want to know that our stuff goes up in value and it brings more money over time. And that's important. And a lot of collectors are more interested in that than the collecting side. But the majority of the people that I see that collect pre-80 stuff, they love the collectible. I always, use this as an example that, I learned this a long time ago. I sold a guy, and we're going to use it. I sold a guy a card for, call it $10,000. And I sold it to him last week on Monday. 3 days later, I call him up and I go, you won't believe this. Some guy just called me up and was disappointed that I sold the card and said that he would pay $30,000 for that $10,000 card. I thought it was a done deal. Who could turn down a $20,000 profit?
Sure.
I called the guy up. I said, I got good news for you. I got you $30,000 for the card. I just sold you for $10,000. He said, JP, he blew me away at the time. Now I get it. I'm flattered, but I don't want to sell it. I'd rather own the card.
That's what I like. I love
and he
that.
goes, not to be, cocky. What am I going to do with the money? It's just going to visit my other money. So there's strong hands that
That's what I
own
like.
vintage stuff.
I like that.
And that's what creates a demand, and the supply is limited. It's not being made. And that's the beauty of vintage. And I'm not saying there isn't that a little bit of that aspect in the modern, but that's why we always see the vintage continue to grow. And sometimes it grows quickly, sometimes it grows slowly.
Couldn't agree with you.
Over time, it's in the stuff's in strong hands. You can't get a lot of this stuff, so that's why I like vintage from a financial standpoint, and I like the history as well. But I hope I answered your question.
You did. Yeah. We had chatting with
the modern market. I just think that there's a lot of it going on, and I hope that younger generation could be more interested in the collecting aspect more than the return on their purchase.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. JP is in the house. We're going to bring in Paul Borges, PB Collectibles. You got JP up here, big outfit. You got Paul Borges, your little neighborhood card shop, but they both do it for the same reason. They love it.
Yeah.
Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
So I ask you, Zap, how does your company or organization do promotions? Imprinted products keeps your brand in front of your customers more than any other form of advertising. For the best on-time service and new ideas for your next project, give Petroselli Marketing Group a call at 603-880-3202 or email info@petrosellimkt.com.
Okay, joining
it's not
us.
like Zap, it's this symbol at, not like you where you actually literally write the word at when you send an email. Don't do that.
How about biting me?
All right.
All right, listen, real quickly, our good friend, the sponsor for our GAX Blast from the Past, and owning the nicest neighborhood card shop in the most exclusive city in Rhode Island, all high rollers, Paul Borges.
Listen, I had a chance to visit the shop.
Yeah, beautiful.
Took some pictures with Paul. Karen looked better than both of us. I think you'd agree. It was great to see you and great to see the shop.
Paul, I don't know if you know JP Cohen, Paul Borges from PB Collectibles. You know, we talked about, and this is the truth, you know, you guys are at two different levels. Paul is a small operation. JP, you're like IBM. But you guys both have a passion for the sport, for the hobby. And Paul, we were talking about that before you came on, how just a lot of them just don't, and it's more of a business flip thing. But listen, before we get just a little programming note before I forget, next week's show, for our viewers and listeners, next week's show was pre-recorded about 3 weeks ago. It's a Rico week. Rico and I pre-recorded it with John Tobby and who else was on with us? Do you remember? And Joe Tomasulo. We pre-recorded it about 3 weeks ago, and the reason being because I'm out of action next week.
Yeah.
I'll be recuperating at my homestead, and I expect you to bring me a present. Some kind of I'll take anything.
I'll bring you a nice cigar. How about that?
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in. All right, let's get to Paul. Paul, you're at the National. First of all, your thoughts on the National.
I thought it was great. I thought the crowd was really good. It was a little difficult getting in and out. But certainly a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of money being spent. It was like a whole new show underneath the National on the bottom floor there with different people setting up their cards and so forth spread out. So a lot of excitement. It was great.
You know, you were just kind of you had made appointments with people, right?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't have a booth or anything. I just walked the floor for the week, made appointments with certain people that knew I was out there. It was really good.
Did you have any good pickups?
Yes. Actually, just yesterday in the shop, just a couple of highlights from it, but picked up a nice Clemente rookie yesterday. Walked in, a nice 56 Mantle, a bunch of 50s. These are just a couple of highlights.
Yeah.
But yeah, out at the National, we had a couple nice pickups out there. Picked up a nice 33 Ruth. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. I'm hoping we're going to be out next week, set up at the East Coast National.
Well, I was going to ask you, and by the way, JP is going to be set up there too.
Oh, nice.
So you guys make sure you introduce each other. You know, make sure you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so what do you have for shows coming up? I'm sure you're going to do East Coast. Are you going to do Long Island?
No, I'm not doing Long Island. The next one after that will be Philly.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready for school now in a few weeks, so
Right.
starting to get busy with that. So, but yeah, I'll be out at the East Coast, and then I don't know, 3 weeks from that, I'll be out at Philly.
Paul, just a quick question, and then I'm going to hand it over to JP. Real quick question: when you're Paul's a professor at a local college in Newport. Do you have you're a business professor, correct? Do you tie in what you do in this hobby ever with any of your classes?
Oh, definitely. A lot of the students will help out with different marketing ideas. we do a lot of things tied to the business.
I was curious about that.
I'm gonna mark this down because that's a good question on your part, and it just happens.
Well, Ellen
it
asked
just
me.
doesn't happen that often.
Ellen
that
asked
was a
me.
really
She
good
asked
question.
me to ask him the
Do
question.
you know how I see? I could
Good
tell.
question,
Did you know I was
Ellen.
going to say? You know, I know that's a good question. I wish I asked it. Yeah, that was a good one, buddy.
Well,
I just rest now.
I was
Listen,
going out
I
the
want you to
door.
just listen. That took a lot out of you.
I was walking out
I want
the
you to
door.
take a break.
Ellen said, "Don't forget to ask Paul this question."
Just take a break because that took a lot out of you.
I'm tired.
I've been waiting 5-6 years.
I'm
for
really
that.
tired.
It's a great question. Really, you need a breather. Take a bite of your whatever you got there.
I'm tired.
Question for both you guys. And you just held up a Clemente card, PB. Are you guys seeing any trends in terms of players or even things in the hobby, items that are on the rise? So, Paul, it'll be trends with you, people coming into the store, and JP more maybe in bidding. Is it players? You know, I've seen over the last few years like Clemente and Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays kind of on the rise. Anything that you've noticed, say, over the last, few months? We'll start with you, JP.
Wait, I can answer that.
But here's the thing. I didn't ask you.
A 33 Deland Garrick.
That's right.
How can you go wrong? I'm sorry, JP.
JP, go ahead.
Absolutely. That is the highlight. Yeah. So, as I said earlier, I think the one player that really stands out, at least the last year or two, is Wagner. Wagner's phenomenal. There's a handful of guys that always continue to be, at least in the vintage space, sought after. And, of course, it's Mickey Mantle and Aaron and Ruth and Gehrig and Jackie Robinson also has been more sought after in the last few years than most of the other guys. But, in general, I think, it's the typical, vintage players that Hall of Famers, the main guys that always continue to grow. But of late, like I said, Wagner's been phenomenal. Jackie's been great. Mays has piqued some interest, unfortunately, due to his recent passing. But I think in general, those are the ones that really stand out lately.
Paul, someone trying to break in?
Yeah, somebody is. Yeah, it's okay.
PB, how about you? Are there, and it doesn't have to be players. Maybe it's sets, maybe it's years, maybe it's brands of cards. What are you seeing?
It's funny. We go to just different venues. So the modern stuff with the kids, football's red hot right now. With the season coming up, the Joe Burrows, Patrick Mahomes is always red hot. Brady's kind of, for me anyway, kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe the price point, it's just so high. But definitely, I always talk about it with you, Tom. The vintage. I mean, you can never go wrong with the Hall of Famers.
Right.
And we have a little calling for it here in our shop, so it's all good.
No, I kind of agree with JP that the Wagner stuff is still hot. I'm always bidding on that stuff, and I always lose because I'm a cheap bastard. But just to let you know, I bid on an E90-2. Got wiped out on that one.
Right.
I have an M116 that I have that I'm keeping. But it's all good. It's all good. Paul. So future shows.
This weekend. I'm sorry.
No, you're staying on the East Coast, pretty much.
East Coast and then Philly. Yeah, that's my next couple.
All right, listen, we have about a minute and a half left. JP, want to ask you, Strongville, you guys got robbed. They caught the guys. They're going to do a little time. We all know that. Can you give us a little background? Because I understand that you presented somebody with something at the National.
Oh, so we, number one, we're very grateful for the law enforcement of Strongville Police Department. They did a wonderful job investigating. Took a while to break the case and get the cards retrieved. At this point, the cards are still in evidence, so we're kind of just waiting for hopefully any time now for them to be returned to us so that we can fulfill some of the winning bidders that want the cards still. But to answer your question, yeah. So because the Cleveland National or the National was at Cleveland this year, we were fortunate enough to be able to connect with the detectives, and there was about a handful of detectives that handled this we call it the Strongville heist case. And we asked them if they would allow us to take them to dinner to show our appreciation.
Nice.
They were very willing, and they did. And they had dinner with us on one of the nights that we were out at the National, and 5 detectives came to dinner with us. So we were able to show our appreciation and get to know
Very
them a little more. And what was cool about it is we came with an idea. So the dinner we had was on Friday night. So Thursday at the show, Pete Rose was signing baseballs. So we asked Pete Rose to sign individual personalized balls to each detective.
Oh, that's great.
Very cool.
That's
Very
awesome.
So what we had Pete Rose sign was to Tom. I bet that you would find those cards.
Oh, jeez.
So we gave each detective one of these at the dinner, which was really a fun thing for us to offer.
Very cool.
That's great.
Well, listen.
But yeah, so the case is still in the court systems, but we're optimistic that it'll get resolved soon, and very grateful that it turned out the way it did.
Paul Borges, we love you, man. You've done great. You've been a great sponsor for the show, as obviously as JP has. JP, you've been with us. You're one of 4 that have been with us since the very first day we went on the air. You do realize that, right?
We're very grateful to be part of what you've.
We try to make a contribution. Yeah. I'm at a disadvantage with people like this, but we try to make it work.
My back hurts worse than his knee from carrying him from so long.
All right. With that being said,
JP, it was nice to meet you.
Yep, JP, thank you so much.
I'll see you this week.
Appreciate all you guys do.
Yep, PB, nice talking
always
to you, brother.
A pleasure, kid.
And Paul, thanks for the Gax blast from the past, brother.
All right.
With that being said,
good luck with surgery.
Thank you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, brother. Good luck.
Come
Good
visit
luck.
me. Flowers. I'll take anything.
Cigar. I'll bring you a cigar.
Best wishes, Tom.
Thank you. I appreciate it. With that being said, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.